Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you're joining in, wherever you're tuning in to, whether you're on planet Venus in the subcontinent, whether you're out on planet X, maybe known as Nibiru, maybe you're tuning in from Agartha in the hollow earth, or maybe you're subterranean and living at the bottom of the ocean. I'm Brandon James Sim. This is Chris Noble. Welcome back to Ancient Mysteries Unearthed. Christopher, how are you?
Brandon, hi. I'm fantastic. It's a pleasure to be here as always, my friend, and looking forward to part two of our lake monsters, which is definitely expanding out of the lakes and moving into bodies of water in general. What the heck are these creatures in there, man? I have
I
no
love
idea.
it.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, so if you missed it, the link will be below connecting the two, but do take a look through our last episode. You can jump right into this one. It's not a big deal. There's so much to go into. On this one, we're going to tackle a few North American lake monsters. Obviously, we've all heard of Loch Ness. We've all heard of massive sea monsters in the ocean. In the old maps, they used to say dragons be there if it was unexplored land, and we'd often hear tales of krakens and
Kraken. Yeah.
massive serpents that could consume giant boats whole. Today, we're going to focus on our home and native land, Canada, and a lot of another lake that borders it, Lake Champlain, named after Samuel de Champlain, the French explorer there. So, yeah, Chris, why don't we get right into it? Those of you who don't know, we're going to be hopping into BC, into the Kelowna region, looking at Lake Okanagan. And in Lake Okanagan, there is an old lore dating back to our prehistory, and then back into the beautiful First Nations people history there, who often are the educators for us on this land. This is the land that they inhabited from years and years and years ago. And a lot of the times, the Western culture that now exists here, what I hear from talking to some of my friends is that the elders in their communities say, "When will you learn?" And
Yeah.
I love that. So when will we learn that they say something lurks in these lakes? They say things lurk in our rivers. They say that there are creatures that guard certain islands, certain mines, certain pieces of heritage or artifacts. And it's just so interesting to hear these stories, especially when we have stories that go hand in hand with them. Stories that give credence to these myths,
Hmm.
which I use myth lightly because we're going to be going to Okanagan, where they have a creature called Ogopogo.
Mm.
Ogopogo is a serpent-like creature, often described as having a long neck, humps on its back, a long tail, or some people think that it's maybe just a large snake or something, but it's often described as having a horse-like or camel-like head,
Mm.
horns on it. And this is all these stories they go back to the settlement of the area of Western culture and even further back into thousands of years.
And
So,
we mentioned this on the other episode too, that there are, and I've seen these petroglyphs in Western Canada on Vancouver Island that depict these sea creatures that we can't categorize. They don't look like anything that we normally would see, and yet they're depicted very vividly on some certain rock art in other drawings. And I remember once even being in a gas station in northern British Columbia, and just some of these gas stations have First Nations merchandise and things you can buy, of course. And sometimes they have these little bookshelves. And I was reading this one book of the monsters of Western Canada. And of course, Ogopogo is the top of the list there. And I couldn't get over the amount of paintings and drawings and depictions that the First Nations people have made throughout probably thousands of years, depicting these creatures. So once again, you got to take everything with a grain of salt, but also not just throw it all out at the window just because you think something sounds ridiculous, because these people have literally been talking about and obviously witnessing something for not just hundreds but probably thousands of years. So in this episode, we've got more footage to show you guys. We also have some news footage that has covered these sightings, and I love to see how the mainstream media covers these things. I won't go too far into my opinions on that because I'm sure by you guys can guess where I usually land with that
you're
anyway.
canceled.
I'm canceled.
Okay, so
Uh,
I'm just gonna do a quick bite on this too. So we have the studies of zoology. I took a few zoology classes in my first year of university. When you get to get your fingers and your toes wet and see what interests you and see if you want to change your major and everything like that. I stayed in drama and theater studies to make my parents very proud of being below the poverty line for most of my life.
Oh
But
yeah, the artist life.
yeah, so the cool thing about zoology is there's another branch of zoology that is unrecognized truly, but it is the study that a lot of people designate their lives to, and it's called cryptozoology. So zoology of the unknown, unrecognized. It's not to say that it's all hogwash. They'll do things like the Jersey Devil. They'll do things like Bigfoot. They'll do lake monsters. They will do, the Dog Man, which maybe we'll do an episode on that one day because it is terrifying to think that there are actually stories of like a werewolf-like creature
Yep.
lurking in the woods of North America, especially as a camper. Nothing gets a solo camping trip scarier than sitting around the campfire and thinking about that. But
Yeah.
anyways, so as we look into this, we're looking at, so we have the First Nations people saying these do exist. Of course, obviously years of poor behavior by Western culture has eradicated a lot of the passed down lore. And I think it's funny nowadays that, in this time of reconciliation, we do cherry pick what we give credence to. So it's like, we're going to absorb and listen and hear and try and give credence and respect to you. However, when it comes to something like a lake monster or a Bigfoot, like, let's
You
stay
guys are crazy.
right. So it's funny how we do cherry pick, and we do that from the Greeks. We do it from any culture that we are taking their history on. A lot of it's like, wow, thank you so much for passing that knowledge on, just not this knowledge.
Yeah, and like this is what we do too is we love to put things into myth and legend when we don't understand it, and we go, well, that's a myth, and like, well, it might be a myth to us now, but what I've learned a lot of, even going back into ancient Egypt and like you said, ancient Greece, stuff like that, a lot of the things that we now look at as, oh, that's Greek mythology, that wasn't mythology to the people of the time creating that. In a lot of the senses, I'm not just referring to Greek mythology, I'm talking about a lot of myths all around the world. We call them myth now. We, the present day humans, have categorized these tales, let's say these stories, but we call them myths. That's our categorization. It doesn't mean that the people of that time were going, yeah, here's a myth that, of something that we've heard about. Maybe they are, but a lot of times they're actually just telling you what happened. And because it's so fantastical, we have to put this filter of, well, it's obviously a myth because that's crazy to our whatever preconception program line we have right now. So
And if we try and digest this into modern day, it's very interesting to see, especially our neighbors to the south, America. There's a Bible Belt down there, and people, if imagine looking at an ancient Greek or First Nations person and hearing their beliefs and trying to tell them that that's myth, and then you take a time machine and you go into the future and you start talking about Jesus Christ, and then someone else telling you like, oh, right, we saw, we've read your teachings about that. What a wonderful folklore that is. To you, that might be like, well, no, he was real and this is what I believe. And I take this as fact and it helps guide my life. It's just interesting that we're so quick to dismiss other people's beliefs that seem fantastical when we do cherish and hold on to a lot of what we believe. And it's just very interesting. So let's dive into it,
let's do
Chris.
it.
Let's show some videos now of some fantastical creatures that may or may not be existing. Okay, so this one here, for everyone who knows this, if you haven't seen it, this is an elderly couple. Okay, and they were out on their boat and they were in the lake and they saw it. And this is one of the more recent, most compelling Ogopogo sightings we have. So, Chris, why don't you play it and then we'll dissect it afterwards. And there's no sound again. Wow, 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 wow.
Who's the tech guy here? Like, I gotta fire this
I believe
guy.
you're the tech guy. That's why I don't share
Oh,
the
that's
screen.
who it is.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. You're fired.
Oh, I'm
That's
so fired,
it's,
guys.
it's a good thing you're self-employed with this. And if you want to support him, it's only 33 cents a day to become
So
a
support me, guys, so I don't have to do this myself and
so he
keep
can
messing
hire
it
a
up.
tech guy
Here
and we
we
can
go. Here
up
we
our
go.
production value.
All right, all right.
By it the first time. That's where I thought it was a log.
On their last sail of the season, Dale Hanchar, his wife Colleen, and their neighbor Myrna Germain Brown saw something shocking beneath Okanagan Lake's surface.
Nice easy breeze, cruising out across the lake, and we saw something in the water. And as a boater, I was just looking, is this something dangerous that needs to be marked so somebody doesn't run into it? We went by it. It looked like a log down into the water, but didn't look quite right.
That's when they snapped a photo.
It wasn't until we got home, we got looking at it and zoomed in on it that we were like,
whoa.
The horns are if we can call
them that. That's crazy.
Nodules.
Yeah.
Oh, at least 3 feet.
And then it goes out from there.
And, it would have been that big. And that's why I thought if it was Ogopogo sleeping, I don't want to be here.
Now, we've shown the photograph to our expert, and he was surprised by what he saw. However, he does have a theory of what it could
Let's see what
be,
the expert
if
has
not
to
the
say here.
legendary
Yeah.
lake monster Ogopogo.
I am not going to lie. As soon as I opened up, I did have a moment of hesitation, like, whoa, this is not like something I've seen before, because you immediately see the horns. In a lot of classic
good.
depictions of lake monsters, people will note horns of some type. At first glance, it does appear to be monstrous looking. You're looking at some head, but, taking into consideration being able to zoom in and the coloration and, the location in which a head would naturally be in relation to a leg or a wing, it appears to be some sort of aquatic bird, whether it be a goose or a duck or something like that.
Whether a duck, a goose, or Ogopogo itself, the photo continues to keep the legend
some
of the
sort of
mysterious
aquatic
lake
bird.
monster
No
alive
identification,
and well.
just a
Sydney
blanket
Morton,
statement.
Global News.
Almost as if he has to say that. And this is a folklore expert. So who is this expert? He's some guy who just completely tears apart this old couple's, and I apologize if the couple's watching. You're not that old. You're obviously a boat.
You guys look great. You look
You
beautiful.
live your own life. But this couple who is, of the baby boomer generation, and they have this friggin' photo of this amazing, what seems to be a dragon looking back up at them. And then he goes, no, what you're really seeing is some sort of duck. Maybe those are
duck. Look,
picking up and it's eating like, holy smokes. I think I see it. That looks like a horse-shaped head with horns, which is basically to a T what all the ancient and modern sightings of Ogopogo look like. So it's very interesting that he just completely is like, no, you see, they're wrong. I know they were on the boat and they got scared and they snapped this photo, which, by the way, for all you guys out there who are like, why do they never have clear photos? It's not getting clearer than that. You have to be in the water, under the water, taking a photo of that, being on the Mandarin buffet menu for this creature, all you can eat, human legs.
Yeah.
And it's just not getting clearer than that. So take a look at this, soak this in to our viewers. What do you think? Comment below and let us know what you think. Do you think this is a duck? Really? I want to know. Jerry Curl, do you think this is a duck?
And if you do, we're not gonna crap on you guys.
Okay.
This is we all wanna get our opinions across and see what the hell's going on here. But I mean, when he said duck, I mean bird and duck. To me, I'm like, look,
no,
buddy.
He said some sort of aquatic bird. Maybe it's an undiscovered species of bird. Maybe he means maybe Ogopogo is a bird. I don't know. Anyways, you can see him getting heated. It's funny how it's just
the
funny
mainstream
how,
it's funny, man. Like they just have such a hard time ever even coming close to admitting something could be out of this world, something unexplained and mysterious.
Just say it's compelling. Just say like
you don't
wow,
have to agree.
Compelling. And it's interesting. Have you noticed that he doesn't say like, well, he doesn't compare to any other accounts. He's not bringing up any other eyewitness, because every other eyewitness account or every First Nations account or every other description that can't be in this clip. They can't say, well, actually this goes hand in hand with what we've seen before. Now, could this baby boomer couple be the best actors in the world and be a part of some elaborate hoax where they went to a prop department, paid someone to create this amazing looking thing?
It looks quite detailed.
Perfectly get it in the water. I mean, could it be closer to shore? Could they be cheating it? Yeah, okay, maybe they could, but they This guy reminds me of my father-in-law, who is a avid sailor, and you can tell he's like, well, my first instincts was I have to map it and mark it on the map so that if there's an obstruction in the water, no one hits it. That's what boaters do. My brother's a
Yeah.
cartographer for the government of Canada, and that's what he does. He maps things so that boats don't hit them and crash. That's what you do when you study the waterways, and it's very important. So obviously, this man is thinking logically. He's not thinking illogically. He's not going, "Let's Ogopogo, let's run away." He's going, "Oh, we better get close to make sure that this isn't something new that's snagged up in the water that we can report to the fisheries and waterways departments and get them to either remove it or mark it on the map and put a little X and say, there's a rock or there's a fallen tree that's sticking up over here," which does happen. So very, very compelling.
Yeah.
And let's move on to some other photos or videos of other sightings, because Lake Okanagan is a hotbed.
Yep.
If there's anyone who's a lake monster enthusiast and you want to plan a vacation, Kelowna is a great spot. Great bars, great atmosphere, great wine. Yes, it's almost a region that has all sorts of different regions around. There's even desertification there. So there's like desert-like regions. There's temperate zones. They have amazing standing old growth forests there. So check it out. And let's see what else other people who have visited Kelowna have seen.
Well, we got another global news, which is a Canadian news broadcaster here. So we got that we can go into here.
Let's do another newscast. Let's see how they interpret this, because it's almost like they're running this story. I mean, it makes news, right? It's people love seeing monsters.
Yeah.
We just don't like to admit that they might actually exist.
100%. Let's take a look and listen.
And this is 2020.
Suspicious sighting on a popular lake in the Okanagan.
Calgary family actually spotted it, and luckily for us, they caught it on video.
It could be another glimpse of the elusive Ogopogo.
It's got to be some sort of one-off fish that's just really long and likes to stick down low in the lake and then pops up every once in a while. But yeah, we took a picture by the statue, and I'd be sick if it looked like that, but I guess I'm a bit of a realist.
It was just off this pier at Friend Estate Winery in West Kelowna where Adam Schwartz and his family might have caught the elusive lake monster on camera.
It was a really calm day, and no boats were passing by or anything, so we were just kind of looking out on the water, and then all of a sudden just saw kind of this just weird formation of waves that was kind of going against the current of what was coming in. It was just moving really weird, and we'd obviously known about the great myth of the Ogopogo, and we'd been there growing up, and I was always afraid of it.
The Calgary family's fall visit is right at peak season to spot Ogopogo, according to legend hunter Bill Stasiuk.
If you go back over the years, the majority of sightings of Ogopogo come in between the beginning of September into the middle of October. I've always said that if you wanted to get a picture, that's the time. Get out on the lake and get a camera.
Ooh, that one looks good.
That's a good one.
And he has an explanation of what the sighting could have been if it's not the elusive snake-like monster that is known around the world.
They always have to discredit.
Could be a thermal wave of some type. Could also be just a light reflection off the actual crests of the waves.
The sighting keeping the mystery of Ogopogo alive.
Ogopogo has been a fixture, a legend of Kelowna and the Okanagan Valley for 150 years. If nobody believed in Ogopogo,
longer than that, buddy.
Why would they always be looking for it?
The fact of it being a wave or the ridge of Ogopogo's back is now
This is their expert, and he doesn't want to.
And the guess of the viewer.
150 years.
Global News.
150 years. That brings us back. Yeah, okay. So we're in the 1850s. Yeah, okay. That's Western society, I guess. But he's not talking about the First Nations warning people about crossing the lakes at certain times of the year and having to appease it and things like that. So. Interesting stuff. The news once again. So you can see they brought him in, and actually that expert, we're ragging on him, but at least he was like, he brought in like, this does kind of match up with other things. He at least brought up the fact that there have been lots of sightings. A lot of the times you see, and it's always like that fun, like feel good piece of like, well, maybe another lake monster in the sea. And what do you think, Terry? And she's like, well, and she's smiling.
She's
when
smiling.
In reality,
yeah.
Right. When in reality, what are we talking about? We're talking about a massive, massive creature existing in Lake Okanagan, it is a big lake, but it ain't that big. So, if you're in there and this thing's in there, I mean, do they want to close the beach?
Yeah.
We haven't heard of people. I don't know if there's any reportings of it harming anyone.
Well, not
Except
recently, but in the lore, it definitely does.
in the lore, yes. In the First Nations lore, they talk about it flipping your canoes and stuff. So
and eating people.
yeah, very interesting stuff. So once again, these videos, look them up. Lake Okanagan, Ogopogo. It's
we will have,
tough
of
word to
course.
spell.
Yeah, we're gonna have these in the description below. Anyway, in the show notes, so you can just check that out as well. But we've got, I think, 2 more or 3 more
show us
videos.
another one, because you're gonna see that a lot of these sightings. Now they're not gonna be that crisp photo of that head, but
that photo was incredible.
Oh
wow!
And once again, just so everyone is on the same page as me, those people don't seem like plants, they don't seem like actors, and they don't seem like hoaxers. So they seem like your uncle and your aunt who are like, come on over for some ham and cheese sandwiches.
Brandon and myself have done YouTube videos where we've planted actors to make it look like some crazy stuff went down. One of our most viral videos we ever did was
check out Joker's Night Out.
Yeah, exactly, Joker's Night Out. And so
God,
we know
kids.
how this, like, we know how this works. We not to say that we're the experts of the stuff, but we have an understanding of how you would hoax and fake these things. So we recognize that this stuff is possible and people do absolutely do it, but
right.
You just got to take the nuances of the situation and try to let your intuition, if anything, be a bit more of a guide than sometimes logic in these situations. However, of course, logic's important. But anyway, moving forward, we got another video here. Ogopogo spotted in lake is the name of the video. And I'll play, I think, with audio. I think this is going to be good with audio. I don't know.
We'll see. It's interesting to hear them talk. So
okay, let's do it. Here we go.
What is that, though?
That's not a wave. It's moving.
This is just massive, by the way.
Let's not even closer.
Oh man, that's at least 20 feet long. That's probably longer.
Well, no, look at this.
That's huge. Oh my god, it's way bigger than that. Oh my god.
That boat is in the foreground, and that's a schooner. That's like, there's a little bit of a bed and a galley in that boat, right? So that's way out there. So the further away it goes, the smaller it'll appear. So it's actually quite large.
That's huge. That's huge.
Yeah. That's got to be at least
oh god,
30, 40 feet long.
Yeah, at least.
Huge.
Yeah. And so what we're seeing too is just like
that's not a wave.
Right?
There's no way that's a wave.
There's not a wave.
It looks like a snake.
I agree.
It's going back and forth. That's not a wave. No way. That boat was already gone 10 minutes ago. And all these waves are already gone.
So these people are trying to put logic behind it, right?
Tell them there's something out there.
It makes sense. You're trying to.
Did you hear what she just said too?
No,
there's those kayakers. We better tell them there's something out there.
Ooh.
If it was a spider, I would.
So they're showing
it's still going.
There's something there. Yeah, that's not a wave.
And look how calm the water is.
Yes, exactly.
Once again, the other person too, from the last video outside the winery, said it was a very calm day and no boats.
Yeah.
So very interesting. And this is one of these instances too where we all have smartphones in our pockets now, for better or for worse, and there's more cameras. So back in the 70s, you had to have, or even say the 90s, you had to have some sort of camera.
How long would you say that is?
It's probably like maybe 50 to 100 feet.
Yeah,
Ooh,
it's huge.
I said 30 or 40. Wow.
No, because I think what you said, Brandon, is like it's just far away, and this thing's
here.
very, very long. Like the wave that's creating is so long.
Well, and the water could be, we could be seeing kind of the ripple effect, so it's hard to pin it down.
But you see with the white,
staying on that one spot now.
Yeah, so with the white of like some of the waves, that looks like where the body could be. And then some of the other stuff could be with the wake of it, but like even that is, God, that's like 100 feet long.
I made this song using my MIDI pack.
Oh my God. Okay.
Okay. And wow. Anyways, so if you
that was compelling.
Check out our previous video too. There was one from Dryden, Ontario, and same thing. We see it's just this huge wake, And really, it looks like it's from something doing this in the water. Very, very compelling evidence. And honestly, I wouldn't be surprised if it's not if but when one of these things gets really caught on camera by flipping a boat or something. And I wouldn't be surprised too if there weren't tales of that happening. And if you, the viewers, have heard anything about it, or maybe it's another lake, because it seems to be that this is a cross-cultural, cross body of water phenomenon. If you have any experiences or stories or anything cool that you think that we should feature or look into, please do let us know. And what do you think of these videos? Do you think this is just a sturgeon swimming through the water? Do you think it's a thermal wave? Do you think it's all a hoax? Let us know. And I'd love to hear your discussions. Yes, this would be great.
It's this is reminding me, and I'm trying to pull up the image here. I believe it's called the kappa, and this is in Japan, and there's actually warning signs here. I think I got a Wikipedia
Yeah,
article
I remember hearing about this on I think it was Ancient Aliens or something like that, where they brought it up that there's or the Naga or something like that.
So the Naga is also a serpent, dragon-like creature, and what I just quickly Wikipedia'd here is what's called the kappa right here. And this isn't, we're not going in, this is not serpent, but the reason I bring it up is because
it'd be classified as a monster,
it's
wouldn't it?
certainly a monster. That's for damn sure. I mean, look,
River Child.
Like, yeah.
So this is an old drawing. That's an old Japanese drawing right there.
And then we've got lots of old drawings of this thing. Depictions, as you can see here, of like they can actually be that what the lore is that they would take people off of the land and do some pretty terrible things to them in the water. I'll leave it at that.
Yes, I saw the S word in there.
Yeah, and I'm just like, some pretty crazy things. But the really crazy thing is, look at these signs. Of course, this is in Japanese, but what it basically translates into: danger, do not swim or play around here. And it's the kappa being depicted underneath this person and pulling the person down and drowning the person, basically. And these warning signs are actually quite common. I don't know if there's any more depictions here in this article. No, it doesn't look like it. But so I wanted to bring that up mainly because I wanted to show people that even in modern times, there comes a breaking point when something happens so often, even if it's unbelievable, it continues to happen. There's a part of like just your conscious that hopefully as a government or as a municipality, you're kind of like, well, we kind of care about our citizens, so we should put a sign up warning people that just a little bit. Put up a sign warning people that you could actually get dragged under by something. We're going to call it the kappa, because it's happened so often that people have to actually come around to it. Otherwise, you could lose your life there.
So I would like you to take us to Lake Champlain next, because it's an interesting thing. So Lake Champlain, most of it's in the States, but a little bit of it is in Canada. I believe it crosses into Quebec, if I'm not mistaken. But yeah, so there's lore of another plesiosaur style animal, dragon, seawater dragon, serpent, whatever you want to call it.
Is that this one right here?
No, that's another Ogopogo. So if you want to type in champ in a Google search, it'll probably come up, and you can click on. It's just a photo, which is the most compelling.
Oh, I see.
And it was taken sometime in the 90s or earlier, but it's a beautiful photo of this thing, and so people keep talking about this. The Lake Champlain monster, they call it Champ.
Okay.
And Champ is actually protected by I think it's New York state law, I believe, is the bordering state that is it. But whatever state it is, they have they've made it protected species, so you can't hunt it or kill it. And they kind of laugh and joke about it. It's great for tourism, blah blah blah. But yeah, so here we have this is the classic sighting.
This one here.
Here, go down to the blue colored one. Yeah, give us a colored photo. Oh, couldn't hold the image. All right, that's okay. There we go. So as you can see here, I don't know if you can pull up yeah. So someone was driving by and they saw a break in the waves. They got out to take a photo, and then this thing popped up, which they believe is a head. The experts say that's a log.
What?
Floating. Yeah.
I'd say that's other things maybe, but not a log. That's crazy.
So they say it looks, if anything, it's a flipper. But once again, the whole thing is that it's got a hump, right? We see a hump there clear.
Mm-hmm.
And what appears to be a head is still, once again, almost horse shaped, right? So this is Lake Champlain, and they have a long history of sightings. They have a thriving tourist industry around that now. There's been many documentaries, a lot of them, once again, it's always these kind of look at this kind of thing, or it feels very campy that the lake and the town surrounding it are going to be like, yes, we're going to have the Champ Festival and have Champ here and Champ this and Champ that, and we're going to milk this for everything it's worth, because it kind of takes on kind of an identity of its own. However, there are lots of people, and some of them being, credible people, we're talking about law enforcement and things like that, where you wouldn't expect them to be saying silly stories, but people do talk about seeing this plesiosaur-like creature on the lake. They see the ripples like Okanagan. There's not the plethora of footage that Okanagan has, but you have compelling shots like this, and there are other ones that show this creature. And once again, what we were saying in our Bigfoot episode, so do take a look at that if you haven't seen it yet. Whether you believe in lake monsters or not, whether you say it's fake, if you comment below and say this is all hogwash, wasted 45 minutes of my life, no, seriously,
hopefully you're entertained at the very least.
But once again, the phenomena of people seeing lake monsters will not go away. That exists. There is a phenomenon where people are seeing something in the water that they believe to be a plesiosaur-like creature. So just very, very, very compelling. Looks like there's an artist rendition down below there that looks pretty cool. And yeah, so, there's a hockey team in the, I believe it's the AHL. I think it's the AHL. Might be the O. And it's called the Lake Erie Monsters.
Oh, wow.
And yeah, so I think it's the A. And once again, Lake Erie, another one of the Great Lakes. For those of you who don't know, come to Ontario, come check them out. They're absolutely stunning. But Lake Erie is the shallowest of all the lakes, very weed-filled, the most vicious as far as storms because of those characteristics, and also the creepiest. Most amount of sightings of animals that should be out of place and weird tales in the lake, hence the name Lake Erie.
So we also have that video I was going to play earlier. We didn't because we wanted to look at the image here, Brandon, but we do have that right here, this another Ogopogo potential sighting. Do you want to just play that before we run out of time here?
Let's see it. Yeah. So
let's see it. Let's see what's going on.
Notice how they all kind of line up. So if this is a grand hoax, a dark body in the water there, clearly above the water.
Yeah.
Whether that be a hump or a head.
What is that?
I have no clue. No, what?
You see that?
Yes. What the heck? I'm filming that.
Me too. Are you zoomed in as far as you can?
Yeah.
Me too.
Dad, look at that.
It's coming out of the water, going back in the water, coming out of the water.
So very, very, very interesting to see how all these filmers are always baffled by what they're looking at, because we all want to apply that mainstream media news outlet logic of, oh, it's probably just a duck.
You hear the term, oh, I'm a realist. And, I used to say that about myself because I thought I was a realist too. And then I realized sometimes being a realist just means you're...
Yeah, look at that.
Wow, that's really compelling.
So you have someone like myself would have a willful suspension of disbelief and probably be victim to looking at footage and thinking that maybe this is more than it is.
Yeah,
a lot
me
of
too.
the time.
I'll admit that.
However, that goes the other way. My friends who are very skeptic. I work in a restaurant. you know, being a actor, I try not to be a starving actor, so I do have a day job, and the restaurant is reportedly haunted. It's in a very old building, and you know, oftentimes people come in, and it's part of the fun of going into this restaurant. And people talk about, you know, ghosts and everything like that. And the hard skeptics are just like, oh, everyone who sees a ghost must be delusional. Everyone who sees it must be delusional. There's not one single person who's ever seen a ghost who is a reasonable person. They're all absolutely crazy, insane. You know, oh yeah, you were having a panic attack that day. You were dehydrated. You were drunk. You were stoned. I have every excuse in the book. So there are going to be people who watch this and say, this is ludicrous. Look at that. It's just it's a log floating in the water in the current. It's a lake. There's currents. So the other side of the willful suspension of disbelief is seeing compelling evidence and not allowing it to sink in. So I'm probably more on the other side where I look at too much and think, wow, what's going on with this? I always want to explore the unknown, the magic of the world. It makes a better story. I'm always looking for great stories as a screenwriter and an actor. Yeah, because you're not gonna, you know, there's gonna be a story of a little girl who lives in a fishing village, and she ends up throwing a fish back. Ogopogo eats it, and then she ends up making friends with it, and then the villagers find out and they want to kill it, and she's like, don't kill it. And the story writes itself that she has to protect it, and ends up protecting them from invading foe, blah blah blah. Roll credits.
Yeah, exactly.
That's going to be the movie. You're never going to see the movie about a log floating in the current. It's just not going to happen. So where I come from, it is, what is the better story? I like to look for the magic. I think the world's a better place for our magic. And I wonder sometimes too, is our belief really crafting our reality in such a way I think, therefore I am? So if I think it's true, does it actually, can I even manifest my reality? Can you? Is that a crazy thought? Let us know.
Well, it's not, because it's also science. I mean, if we want to bring in quantum physics, we know through the double slit experiment that our very perception literally can change things on a subatomic particle based level. So yeah, of course, our belief in our opinion means everything. We know that with the placebo effect, and there's so many other scientific ways that we can talk about that. But I wanted to show one really quick video before we wrap it up here.
Yeah, we're running out of time.
I know we're running out of time. So I just want to show this one here quickly. There's not too much going on, but let's just play it. I'll talk quickly about it here. So this is a guy kayaking, fishing, way out in the water, and he thinks he sees something. Yep. Turns around, looking at something, still looking at it, like, what was that? And well, what was that, right? So we go back in, we slow it down. If you guys look right to the middle left here, something, look at that, popping right up out of the water. Hard to say. Now this one's tough because the image is far away, so they zoom in.
Whatever happened, he clocked it too.
He clocked it.
Pretty impressive.
Look at that. Well, he's clearly very adept in the water. This guy is aware of what's going on.
Yeah, his body, to be on a kayak like that and that big of water too, your body's moving with every wave.
What is that there? Look at that. It's like a fin, maybe.
Well, it's hard to get a context, like what body of water this is. Is he on the ocean? Could it be a shark?
So again, this is just more information for you guys. We got to wrap up the episode today. This is our second part of the Lake Monster series. If you guys like this topic, of course, let us know, and we'll keep doing more videos on this. But in the meantime, stay curious, as we always like to say here, and
stay kind as well.
Of course, we all got to learn together, and we're not going to be right all the time, but we can definitely share our information, pool our resources, and collectively try to get a understanding for the magic and all the mystery in this world.
And if you have a compelling story and you'd like to be on the podcast, do let us know so we can reach out. We really want to bring more community members in. And I'm going to plug Chris here as well. So Chris is our content creator for 33 cents a day. You can become an insider, a community member for Ancient Mysteries Unearthed, and get access to a whole new community and a plethora of resources and way more personal contact with Chris. Find out some of the stuff he's doing. So we'll leave it there, guys. Thank you so much, everyone. Stay curious, stay kind, keep asking questions, and stay tuned for more content.
See you next time, everybody.